All right, so welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today we're going to be tackling someone who many consider the GOAT, and that is, of course, Tom Brady. Now, you might be thinking, oh, Tom Brady, I've heard it all, but stick with us because we're going to go beyond the highlight reel.
That's right. We're going to try to uncover what makes this guy tick, both on and off the field.
Exactly. And so to start with this deep dive, I think the question we have to answer is, who is Tom Brady? Like, beyond the touchdowns, beyond the trophies, who is this guy?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? On the surface level, he's a former American football quarterback, has a broadcasting gig now. But his 23 seasons in the NFL, most of that with the New England Patriots, really, turned him into something bigger.
Okay, so greatest quarterback of all time is a term that is thrown around a lot. I mean, is there something to it, or is it just hype?
I mean, the records are undeniable, but I think what's most fascinating is how he achieved it all. We're talking about a guy who was drafted 199th overall. This isn't some prodigy, who was destined for greatness.
Wait, hold on. 199th, that's practically an afterthought in the draft. Okay, so before we get into all that, let's just do a quick fire round just to get some, basics out there. Some intriguing Tom Brady facts. Hit me.
Okay, born August 3rd, 1977.
Okay.
Which already that tells you something about his longevity in a very brutal sport. But here's a curveball. He was actually drafted by an MLB team, the Montreal Expos, to play baseball.
Baseball, seriously. So this guy, he had options outside of football.
He did, and get this, in college, he almost went to Cal Berkeley.
No way.
Yeah, his dad was a huge fan. Imagine that alternate timeline where Brady's Golden Bear, right?
Yeah, wild.
Yeah.
Okay, but he ends up at Michigan instead. So what was his college game like, compared to the NFL superstar that we know?
Well, as a starter, he led them to a 20-5 record. He had wins at big-name bowls like the Citrus and Orange Bowls. His passing stats were impressive, but not earth-shattering. But what I think stands out is that he wasn't just, some robot athlete. He graduated with a BA in general studies. It kind of foreshadows, his diverse interests later in life.
Yeah, it's like he was building a foundation for something, beyond just sports. But before we jump ahead, we have to talk about the physical toll of his career. I mean, the guy's had some pretty, gnarly injuries.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the 2008 knee injury is the most famous. It was torn ACL and MCL. And this was, for most athletes, this is a career-altering setback. And this was after he'd already established himself as a star.
Right. And so it makes you wonder, did those setbacks contribute to his drive? Like, he had to prove something to himself, right, by coming back even stronger.
It's possible. You definitely can't ignore the psychological impact of, overcoming that kind of physical trauma. But to really understand Brady, I think we need to look at the arc of his career. It's not just wins and losses. It's also about reinvention.
Okay, so take us through it. What were the key moments that shaped him into the Tom Brady that, we all know today?
Well, it starts with that 2001 season. He goes from sixth-round draft pick to backup, and then suddenly the starting quarterback gets injured, and Brady has to step in. They end up winning the Super Bowl against all odds.
The ultimate underdog story.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was just the first chapter of this, Patriots dynasty. And it's almost overwhelming to even try to list all of their accomplishments under Brady. What was it, 17 division titles, 13 AFC championships, 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl wins. It's crazy.
It's staggering. And remember, this is a league built on parity. Dynasties are supposed to be impossible. So even if you're not a football fanatic, you have to kind of ask yourself, what was different about this team, about Brady?
All right, then came the shocker. He leaves the Patriots in 2020. So was that the end of an era? Or did he still have something to prove?
Well, he joins the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And promptly wins another Super Bowl with them. In his first season, it's like he needed to show the world that it wasn't just the system, it was him.
Okay, that's just ridiculous. All right, so at this point, we have to talk about Deflategate. Can you give us, just the objective rundown of what happened without, getting into all the hot takes and stuff?
Sure, yeah. Essentially, the Patriots were accused of tampering with footballs to, gain an advantage. Brady got a 4-game suspension. There were legal battles. It got really messy. Eventually, the suspension was nullified, but the controversy never really went away.
Right, and it makes you wonder if that fueled his fire even more. I'm going to show you what I can do, even with all these doubters.
It's hard to say definitively, but it definitely adds another layer to his story. A sense of overcoming not just physical obstacles, but, reputational ones too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the part that everyone knows. His Super Bowl dominance. 7 wins. That's just unheard of. So Did he have like a secret formula, or was it pure talent? What was it?
There's no single answer. Every Super Bowl was different with, unique challenges and all of that. But what's fascinating to me is how he always seemed to elevate his game in those high-pressure moments. It wasn't just luck, it was a pattern.
Okay, so let's hear some of those mind-boggling records then. This is the part where we just get to be impressed by, like, the sheer numbers. What stands out to you?
I mean, we could be here all day listing them. But, think about this. Most career quarterback wins at 251. Most passing yards, 89,214. Most touchdowns, 649. And he did this all while, like, breaking age records, too. Oldest Pro Bowler, oldest Super Bowl MVP.
It's almost unfair to other quarterbacks.
Right.
Okay, so all good things must come to an end, right? He's retired now, right? So what's he up to these days?
Well, it's Tom Brady, so even retirement is eventful, right? He retired in 2022, unretired after like 40 days,
Right.
and then retired again in 2023. Now he's the lead color commentator for NFL on Fox and a partial owner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Hold on. Commentator and owner. Those seem like kind of conflicting roles.
That's what makes it interesting. There are actually like limitations on what he can talk about due to his ownership stake. It's a unique situation. But speaking of unique, his net worth is estimated around $400 million.
Yeah, that's not just from football salary. So we got to talk about his business ventures, what he's building outside of the game.
Well, there's TB12 Sports, his fitness and wellness brand, which, kind of ties back into those injuries and his obsession with longevity. And it's not just like protein shakes. It's a whole philosophy, really. And then there's the Autograph NFT platform, which, shows that he's tuned into like the tech world, too.
It's like he's constantly evolving, looking for the next challenge. Okay, so we can't ignore the elephant in the room. His personal life. His marriage to Gisele Bündchen was, tabloid fodder for years. And their divorce in 2022 was huge news.
It was. They have children together and they're committed to co-parenting, but it's definitely another layer of complexity to this, already fascinating individual. What I find remarkable is how private he's remained throughout it all.
It's like he understands that there's public fascination, but he's choosing to focus on what matters to him, which brings us to his life beyond the headlines, right? He's got this reputation for being like super disciplined, health-focused. Is that all just for show, or is there something deeper going on?
Yeah, I think it ties back to that early question, who is Tom Brady? It's not just about throwing a ball. It's about pushing limits, whether it's, physical longevity or business success or even personal growth.
So is it all just about winning, or is there something, more nuanced there?
That's where things get really interesting, and that's what we're going to unpack in the next part of our deep dive. We talk about the wins, the records, this kind of almost mythical status he has. But what I think gets lost sometimes is the sheer length of his career, right? 23 seasons. That's longer than some players' entire lives.
Yeah, it really is mind-boggling when you think about it. And the NFL is brutal. I mean, quarterbacks especially are vulnerable. So how did he stay in the game that long, let alone at the top of his game?
I think part of it is no doubt physical. His TB12 method, that whole focus on flexibility and pliability, it's not just marketing hype. I mean, he fundamentally changed the way that athletes think about aging.
So it's like he kind of hacked the system almost. But it can't just be about avoiding injury, can it?
Right, right. There's a huge mental aspect to it as well. I mean, just think about the pressure he faced, year after year to keep winning. You takes incredible mental fortitude.
Yeah, and this is where his leadership comes in when you say, I mean, he wasn't just playing for himself. He had to motivate entire teams.
Exactly. And there are countless stories from former teammates about how he inspired them, pushed them to be better. It wasn't just about talent. It was about creating a culture of excellence.
And this kind of connects back to what you were saying about that 2001 season. He's young, he's relatively inexperienced, yet he leads them to this Super Bowl victory. So is it just beginner's luck? Or was there something special already there?
Well, look at the context, right? I mean, the Patriots were huge underdogs against the Rams, who, they had the greatest show on turf offense. Everybody expected a blowout.
And instead, I mean, we got one of the most iconic Super Bowl moments ever. Brady leading this game-winning drive in the final minutes, capped off by Adam Vinatieri's field goal as time expires. It's incredible.
It is. And, at 24 years old, he became the youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl, surpassing even Joe Montana. It wasn't just about skill at that point. It was about that intangible it factor, the ability to stay calm, under pressure, to inspire belief in his teammates.
That it factor seemed to carry him through his whole career. I could talk about specific plays, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's about consistently performing when it matters most.
That's a great point. It's about the game-winning drives, the comebacks, the moments where, lesser players would crumble. Take Super Bowl 38 against the Panthers. It was this back-and-forth game, and, he throws a game-winning touchdown pass with just over a minute left.
It's like he just had this sixth sense for when the team needed him most. And it wasn't just in the Super Bowls, right?
Oh, no, no, absolutely not. Think about the 2007 season, that perfect 16-0 regular season. He threw for 50 touchdowns that year. It was an NFL record at the time.
But of course, they lost Super Bowl 42 to the Giants, preventing that perfect 19-0 season, which is heartbreaking.
Right, which is interesting because it shows that even Brady wasn't invincible. He faced setbacks, and it makes his accomplishments even more remarkable, I think, because he always seemed to learn from those losses, come back stronger.
All right, so we've talked about the win, the pressure, the longevity. But there's also this other side to Brady, right? This meticulous, almost obsessive approach to preparation. So is that just part of like the athlete mindset, or is there something more to it?
It's definitely part of elite sports, but Brady, he takes it to another level. His TB12 method, I mean, it's not just about physical training, it's about sleep, nutrition, mental focus. It's almost a lifestyle philosophy.
Right, and some would even say like it's a bit extreme, right? All that pliability work, the restrictive diet, it's a lot.
It's definitely not for everyone, but I think it speaks to this deeper need for control, for pushing boundaries. He wasn't content with just being good. He wanted to optimize every aspect of his being.
So it's like he saw himself as this machine, constantly fine-tuning, upgrading.
Exactly. Yeah. And you see that in his evolution as a quarterback, too. He didn't just rely on his art. He become this master of reading defenses, of making pre-snap adjustments.
Like a chess player almost, disguised as a quarterback.
That's a great analogy. He's constantly thinking several steps ahead, anticipating what his opponents will do. And that comes from, tireless film study, from really understanding the nuances of the game.
And it's that relentless pursuit of mastery, that unwillingness to settle, that I think sets him apart from so many other, incredibly talented athletes. It's not just natural ability. It's the work you put in, that constant drive to improve.
Absolutely. And it's not just about winning on the field. It's about pushing the limits of what's possible, whether it's in business, in health, even in personal growth.
And it brings us back to that question of, who is Tom Brady? It's almost like he's created this mythology around himself, this image of the ultimate achiever.
He's definitely become a symbol, for better or worse, but what I think is often overlooked is the human element. I mean, the guy has faced setbacks, controversies, just like anyone else.
Right, and we talked about Deflategate, but, there were other criticisms as well. Some people saw him as arrogant, entitled.
Right, and that's part of what makes him so polarizing. I mean, he's this incredibly successful figure, and people project their own feelings about success, about ambition, onto him.
Yeah, so it's not just about whether you like his football skills or not. It's about what he represents.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to explore further in the next part of our deep dive. The legacy of Tom Brady, the man, the myth, the brand.
We've talked about Tom Brady's on-field dominance, his really meticulous approach to health and wellness, and his, kind of complex public image. But now I'm curious about, the man behind the curtain, what drives someone to achieve at that level for so long?
Yeah, it's a question that's fascinated people for years, really. Some say it's this insatiable hunger for winning. Others point to his, incredibly intense work ethic. But I think if you really understand Brady, you have to go all the way back to his roots. His upbringing played a huge role, I think, in shaping his mindset.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit, back to his early life. Where did it all begin?
Well, he grew up in San Mateo, California, a real sports-loving kid who excelled at multiple sports, actually. He was a natural athlete, but even then there was this drive, this competitiveness that kind of stood out.
And you mentioned earlier that he was actually drafted by an MLB team to play baseball. So what made him choose football in the end?
It's hard to say for sure, but it seems like football was always his true passion. And he went on to play at the University of Michigan, where he faced his first real test of his abilities.
And it wasn't instant stardom for him at Michigan, right?
No, actually, he started as a backup, fighting for his chance to shine. It's a familiar theme, throughout his career, right? This underdog mentality seems to have really fueled him from the beginning.
So even in college, he was already displaying that work ethic, that, relentless drive to improve.
Absolutely. He would spend hours, studying film, honing his technique, really pushing himself beyond what was expected. He wasn't content with simply being on the team. He wanted to be the best.
It's like he had this, internal fire, this belief that he could, like, achieve anything if he put in the work.
And that's a key insight, I think. It wasn't just about talent. It was about maximizing his potential through, sheer effort. And that mindset carried him, all the way to the NFL.
But even after all that work, all those college victories, he still wasn't a top prospect in the 2000 NFL draft. It's kind of crazy to think about that now, considering all he's accomplished.
Yeah, I know. It's a testament to the kind of unpredictable nature of talent evaluation, right? Sometimes potential is hidden beneath the surface, just waiting for the right opportunity to emerge.
And in Brady's case, that opportunity came with New England Patriots, who decided to take a chance on him in the 6th round.
The 199th overall pick.
Yeah.
Just imagine that. The 6th quarterback taken in his draft class. I mean, it's the ultimate underdog story.
And the rest, as they say, is history. He went on to become a 7-time Super Bowl champion, shatter countless NFL records, and really, redefine what it means to be a quarterback.
I think his story is, it's a really powerful reminder that greatness can often come from unexpected places, right? It's not always about, being the most talented or the most privileged. It's about having the drive, the determination, and, this unwavering belief in yourself to overcome obstacles and achieve your dreams.
And it's not just about sports. It's a lesson that, applies to really any field, whether you're an entrepreneur, an artist, a student. I mean, Brady's journey really shows us that success is often the result of, hard work, perseverance, and, a willingness to embrace challenges.
He's a polarizing figure, no doubt, but there's no denying the impact he's had on the world of sports and really beyond. He's inspired millions with his dedication, his resilience, his pursuit of excellence.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Tom Brady, I think the biggest takeaway is that it's not about the trophies or the accolades. It's about the journey, the struggle, that constant striving to be better.
It's about, pushing your limits, defying expectations, and never giving up on your dreams. Because in the end, it's not about being, the greatest of all time. It's about being the best version of yourself.
Tom Brady's story is it's a testament to the human spirit's potential for greatness. And it's a story that will continue to inspire us for, generations to come. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody. We'll be back soon with more captivating explorations. But until then, keep diving deep into the things that fascinate you.